Let's go watch it in 2D. No, let's go watch it in 3D. But if we watch it in 3D, then is it worth the cost?
Yet God protect them.
Gods of the universe, I come here to raise an army. Today, we'll go down in history.
How exciting.
Today, we'll fight!
I'm gonna kill this guy.
Spoken like a true Thor. This ends here and now!
I'm counting on that.
Marvel Studios' Thor: Love and Thunder in theaters July.
Hello. This is Adolf, and I have with me Classic Jake.
Howdy, folks.
And today we are reviewing Thor: Love and Thunder. As always, we'll talk about the 3D aspect first. Now, I have not watched this movie as of recording this. I do plan on watching this in IMAX 3D later today. But Jake, you watched it and you wrote the review. So, how was the 3D aspect of this movie?
Overall, I thought it was great.
Okay.
Yeah, they were, when the movie starts off, though, it abruptly starts with the flatter than flat scene, and your heart's gonna sink. Mine did. I just was like, oh crap, this 3D is gonna be awful. But then the image takes shape, and more you see what's going on, and there's some absolute beautiful 3D. I mean, it's not quite as good as Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, but it's still great.
Okay. There's good depth and the good pop outs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't have a lot of the paddle ball and House of Wax. They don't have those type, but there's a lot of depth, a lot of characters pop out, and when Thor's hammer, there's some great scenes with it in 3D.
Mjolnir, correct?
And Stormbreaker.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what are the best scenes of 3D here, without spoiling it?
I really like a battle scene at the end with the bunny rabbit. That's a great one. And it's a dark shot scene, too, but it really pops. There's a scene kind of like in the Garden of Eden situation. And then there's several scenes where Christian Bale is grabbing the Necro sword. That just really pops out. And some of the battle scenes, there are some great scenes. Flying goats. I mean, there's a few good and there's a few good montages. The 3D is really good at too. Some of it you've seen in the ads.
Now, you mentioned in your written review there's a naked Thor that's really nice looking. Don't want to get too much into spoilers for that, but so that naked Thor looks pretty good in 3D, huh?
Uh-huh, yep. Mm-hmm. Nice and chiseled. It's either going to inspire you to work out more or to never work out. I don't think there's going to be an in-between response.
One of our fans started laughing whenever they read that. They're like, really? That scene gets a really great 3D? Cool.
I call them like I see them.
All right. Well, is there any issues with the 3D that weren't great?
Like I said, sometimes there would be a big, vast scene, like an arena or full city, and they treated it like how you would, if somebody actually filmed it for real, there wouldn't be great depth. I mean, they're converting. They should have dealt more with the back instead of leaving it so flat. You should have went in for more layers in a few of scenes.
Okay. All right, so I guess your overall verdict is great 3D?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this movie is well worth seeing in 3D, and I think you miss out quite a bit seeing it flat.
Now, on to the movie itself. So, what is this about?
It's about an hour and 50 minutes. But no, seriously. It's Thor's, is this kind of his post Endgame. He's had a lot of to deal with. I mean, both parents are deceased. He lost his siblings, and he's kind of lost. So he's hanging out with the Guardians of the Galaxy, trying to find himself. And he runs into Jane Foster, and she now also has the power of Thor. And hijinks ensue. This is a rom-com.
Okay. Now, the other Thor movies, I do like, overall the character of Dr. Foster, but I feel like they didn't have that much chemistry. Does it work here?
Yeah, because they're together, but yet they're not. This movie more explains, you really see why they weren't together.
Okay.
It makes sense. And it also makes sense why they are together the way they are in the movie and how everything plays out.
Now, how's the humor in this movie? Last Thor movie was really hilarious. Is this one the same kind of thing?
Yeah, lots of chuckles. If anything, it's more goes in and out of humor and seriousness. Yeah, there's, like I said, there's some really heavy stuff in this movie. Really dark. But alien movies, which I compared this to, did the same thing. You know, it's kind of like you give sugar for the medicine to go down. You know, it's a lot easier to do something dark if you turn around and have something funny to kind of break the tension. And there's a lot of that in this movie. A lot of Americans don't like that in their filmmaking. It's common in Asian films, Middle Eastern films, European films.
Okay, so who's the villain in this movie?
Gore the God Butcher. And he's considerably different from how he is in the comics. For a Marvel movie, 2 hours, great. I love the adaptation. Would I have liked to have seen the storyline, the big famous storyline of Gore done? Of course. But I really appreciate what they did. Heck, people forget, between the pandemic and the James Gunn firing, everything at Marvel got reshuffled. It's a miracle any of these movies work at all on any level. They've had to shuffle stuff around so much. I'm surprised they could coordinate anything on any level.
Now, Christian Bale is Gore here. How is he doing?
Oh, he's great. I mean, plays one of the most evil characters and villains, and you actually have sympathy for him and can understand him. And he really sells Gore goes on a journey of personal growth in this movie, and Christian Bale just shows it all. I mean, this is just a great performance.
Now, Russell Crowe is here. How is he?
Another great performance as Zeus. And I just loved the way he just played Zeus. As some kind of corrupt, petty dictator, more Boris Johnson than Donald Trump, and with this Mediterranean accent that was part Greek and part sounded like somebody out of the House of Gucci. And he was just so corrupt and so sitting on his laurels. I mean, and he played him totally without sympathy. I mean, this was not like Jeff Goldblum's as a Grandmaster, who you kind of liked, chuckled, and even though he was a tyrant.
So it's just like how he was in Greek and Roman mythology.
Yeah, exactly. Except less sexual harassment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, nobody was raped by Zeus in this movie.
Thank God. And thank the gods.
Yeah.
All right. So the Guardians Galaxy here, how are they, like, in the most of this movie or just a little bit?
Oh, they're just a little bit. That's an extended cameo.
Okay.
But there's a little bit of character development, and Kraglin gets a great scene.
Okay. So in your written review, you said that they're a little bit stupider than usual. How is that?
Yeah, they gotta do some dumb stuff. But a movie's got a movie, and if some of the plot points in this movie, things would not have fallen in place if people were on their A game.
Okay.
So if you can get over, that's what bugged me. Instead of changing the storyline up and not doing the Mighty Thor storyline of Jane Foster like the comics. I mean, you already read the comics. Don't you want something new? I mean, yeah, I understand it, but I don't think these two story ideas would have melded if they were more comics accurate. And I felt they worked very well the way Taika Waititi wove them together. But I'm looking at this as a film buff who happens to like comic books, not a comic book geek, nerd, whatever that likes comic book movies and to a lesser extent cinema. So your mileage may vary depending on your point of view.
So the super comic book nerd purists, this movie might piss them off.
Yeah. So you may want to think twice about seeing this if you're worried about your blood pressure.
And this is not like your typical Marvel movie formula, right?
Not exactly, but I'm thinking some people who've been complaining about the formula, they may find it still too formulaic, and others will be angry because they might have strayed off the things in the formula they like. So like I said, your mileage may vary.
All right, so what's your final verdict on this movie?
8 out of 10.
Okay. It's not going to be for everyone, but for you, you really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of laughs, and the characters go through a lot of change. There's a lot of growth in this movie. A lot of change. Characters go through a lot.
All right. I guess that's going to be it for this review, a spoiler-free review. There is a mid-credits and post-credits scene, correct? Are they worth watching?
Oh, most definitely.
Okay.
One of them sets up the possibility of a Thor 5, and the other one, we get a new character introduced to the MCU.
Okay. As this connects to any of the TV shows, or you would be good to go if you haven't caught up with all the shows?
Anything in the shows you need to know is mentioned in the movie.
Okay. Sounds great. That's going to be it for us. Bye.
Okay. Bye, folks.
Okay, as this podcast wraps up, I want to thank my patrons. Thank you, Mr. Bengal 5, Kevin Winter, and Alex Folk for your financial support on Patreon.com. You can find 3D or 2D on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, and more. Just look for 3D or 2D. Thank you for either listening or watching this podcast. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.